our guest in the studio. The police are here. Look out, Assistant Commissioner Michael Corboy. It's great to have you on the show.
It's great to be here in your man cave with all your bikes.
This is the studio, mate.
The studio, sorry.
They're all above code. You'll find there's nothing to see here. So let's talk about you. You've been in the police force for how long?
I've been in the police for 38 years.
Wow.
So I joined in 1981 and spent a bit of time in the city, and then went down the Riverina for about 12 years. Then came back and worked in all sorts of places around the city, Mount Druitt, Marylands, a few of the busy places. I spent a bit of time in charge of public affairs, but moved when I got my assistant commissioner's job. I was in education, so I was in charge of all the education of the cops, and moved into highway patrol about 2 years ago.
Right, and so highway patrol, they largely get, it's a hard road to hoe to be a highway patrol officer.
Oh, you need to be a special person to be in the highway patrol, yeah.
So I've heard people say, you've got to be an orphan to be one. Is that true? Are they...
Oh, no, you don't, but you need the sort of personality where that we enforce the road rules. So if you pull someone up and, you know, there's always a sob story and everything else, you've got to be pretty firm, and we have to do what we have to do. So they have to have that sort of strong personality. Can
you talk your way out of a ticket?
Police officers have original discretion, so it dates back to the time of the English constable, and we had discretion under the law, so they still have discretion under the law, but generally, if it's a serious offence, no, you can't talk your way out of it.
And what about you with motorcycles? You love motorcycles, which is great, because it seems like the world is against motorcycles, but here you are, one of the top brass, and you've got a bunch of bikes, haven't you?
Yeah, look, I've been a big advocate for motorcyclists and motorcycling for many, many years, and yes, it is a dangerous pastime, and yes, we know that every time we go for a ride, but it's also a very growing pastime, and I think we're getting up towards 1 million bikes now in Australia, so it is something, it's good for friendship, it's good for, I travel overseas and go motorcycle riding all the time, but I think being in my position, I can actually be an advocate for motorcyclists, and through things like this and what I do on a daily basis, I can actually assist and help with motorcyclists, motorcycling.
And is the future for motorcycles, is it bright? Because there's a while there you would almost think, you'd be not paranoid to think that the government was trying to ban them.
Oh yeah, I think we went sort of through this with high-powered cars in the 80s, in the 70s, I think you remember. So they tried to get rid of the V8s, but they talked about the emissions and everything else. And I think we went through a bit of that with the bikes getting faster and people not being able to handle that, and there was some fatalities, but the fatalities have levelled out now, and we still can make them a lot less, obviously, but I think there's now also a recognition of motorcycling, and so many people have got bikes these days, it sort of carries that sort of popularity with it, and with that comes some responsibility as well.
Motorbike Cops, great show.
Fantastic show. Great narrator.
Oh, he's, I don't know how he walks the streets of this town, but it really gives a great insight into what goes on in the life of a highway patrol on a bike.
Yes, we've got over 100 bikes now across the state. So I've actually increased the fleet since I've been in charge for a couple of reasons. I think they are very good. Obviously, they're good for our VIPs, and when eminent people come to town, we have a reputation of being probably the best in the world at doing that. So I'm really proud of my VIP escort people. But then in the rural areas and in the city, it really is a way we can get people to stop on their mobile phones. So the bikes have a power to get in and see and get down and look into cars. So it really is one of our main weapons against mobile phone use. And look, we have an anytime, anywhere sort of policy around it. So you could be sitting in traffic, you could be out in the country, and all of a sudden a motorcycle cop is next to you, filming you on your mobile phone, and you get a ticket.
And with you, what's your favourite motorcycle, police motorcycle bike out of all of them? And there were some great Aussie police motorcycle bikes.
Yeah,
wasn't there?
And look, I go back to the Kawasaki 650s and 1000s back in when I first joined, and they had that huge big fairing on the front. It was the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Keep you dry in all weather.
It keeps you dry and everything, but it was just a huge big hunk of fiberglass. Yeah. So as far as the aerodynamics and everything, it was. I think they were pretty ordinary. And we've got one on display down at our police driver training, which Andrew Scipione rode in the wall-to-wall a few years ago. So I think probably the Z1000 was probably my favourite. But look, the current bikes that we use is the Yamaha 1300 and the BMW really are the safest bikes getting around. Great package. Our team loves riding them, and I think they're up there with probably the best. Been to America a number of times. They ride the Harleys over there, but their OC health and safety stuff's a little bit different. They still wear the short sleeves and the short little hat, and so we've got a little bit different perspective, I think.
What do you ride when you're riding around? What have you got in your shed?
At home?
Yep.
So my daily ride is a Harley Road Glide, which I love. I've had that probably 4 or 5 years now. I've got a GS 1000 Adventure, which I take. I've ridden across Australia a few times and on really long rides. Fantastic bike for all that. I've got a GS 1000 S79, which is being repainted at the moment, which I've had for...
Red and white or blue and white?
It's the blue and white one.
Yeah.
It's got 1978 brakes on it. But it really is one of the classics, and it's away getting a new paint job at the moment. So,
nice.
And I've got a little Piaggio in the shed, which I go down the shops on to get bred. So
there you go.
it's pretty good in the summertime.
Well, Mick, thank you for joining us in the studio today. And of course, if I'm out there on the street, is there any code word that I might need in case, not I'm going to run foul of the law?
I think your biggest code word would be, "Hi, I'm Brendan Jones. I'm the raider of motorbike cops."
Yeah. Tonight on Motorbike Cops.
That's right.
Don't give me a ticket.
So I think you're pretty well known amongst them, but I'm sure you won't do anything wrong, and I'm sure there's no reason to pull you up.
I ride like Mother Teresa.
Oh, yeah, and I know.
You know that. Mick Corboy, thank you for joining us in the studio.
Great, thanks very much. Good to be here.